Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. All right, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. I am so excited to have you guys join us and glad to have a great panel lined up for you all, spearheaded by my brother, Javon Jackson, who is the person that put this panel together. So I can see you guys are quickly coming into the studio today. Grab your virtual seats. We are going to get started and have a great show lined up for you. Now, listen, what's going to happen, just so we already know all of the ground rules, what's going to happen is we will get the opportunity to discuss between police officers and some African-American Black men that will be talking about some solutions, how things can get better in our society. And the best way, I believe, to do that is to have some dialogue amongst each party so that way you have some good outcomes. And so today, the panel, Javon, I'm going to put you up on the screen and let you share a little bit about today's panel. And keep in mind that each person will introduce themselves formally, but I'm going to let my brother, Javon Jackson, come up and speak with you about this. You're muted.
Sorry about that. All right, let's start over. Okay, once again, I'd like to thank you for having us here, Kim, and thank all the panelists for participating today. And like you said, today is going to be a heavy topic. It's something that's current, going on in the world pretty much right now. We're having a lot of conflict between the police community as well as our community, our Black in particular. So we're just trying to find some type of resolution, and that should be the goal of the show today, that we come up with some type of resolution. So traceable resolutions that we can follow up on from today's panel.
Excellent. Okay, so as we get started, is there a specific way that you want to go ahead and flow with this? As far as I'll be asking the questions that I know that I have that you were kind enough to send to me. Thank you. So that makes a big difference. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. So actually what's going to happen is we're going to have some panelists popping in late. It's a heavy panel today, more than usual. So we have to orchestrate everything and make sure everything is good. So we're just going to just dive into it. We have some questions on the table, and I think like right now with what we have on, we can go ahead and start diving into the show.
Okay, sounds good. So right now, one of the first questions is, what are your thoughts on defunding, reforming the police? And anybody that would like to start with communicating about this, then please let me know and I'll pop you into the bigger part of the screen. And mute your mics when you're not speaking, if you're willing to. So what are your thoughts, any of you that are on the panel, surrounding defunding, reforming the police?
One of the things I think is really important, and again, I appreciate you being on, Brother Clarence White, and the work you're doing, and as an officer in our community. I appreciate all those officers out there. As a kid growing up in Denver, Colorado, one of the things that really helped and kept me and my friends out of a lot of trouble was we had an opportunity to participate in the PAL, the Police Athletic League. I'm not sure if that was across the country as well, but the Police Athletic League gave us a chance to play sports and connect with police officers in a fun, mannerable way. So I'm not sure what's happening to those. I'm not sure if those funds have been taken away from those programs and placed in other areas, but where are we at with the PAL programs across the nation right now? And I'm not sure if others are familiar with the PAL program taking place in their community as well, though.
Well, I know that I personally am familiar with, let me put myself up there. I'm trying to manage and okay. I'm personally familiar with the PAL program. And I think that it's an excellent resource in communities as far as being able to allow young African-American men to be able to express their talents and their gifts, but also have nice, structured, organized environment to be able to do it. Because it's a lot of work that the police officers are doing, and I love it. So anybody else that's familiar with this and would like to talk about it, please start talking.
Kim, I'd like to say that, I am, I'm in the Twin Cities, right, which was the Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. So this year, we were the epicenter of some of the civil unrest that sparked the nation, starting with the unfortunate and untimely killing of George Floyd.
Right.
And so when we talk about defunding the police departments, there's a lot of terms that are thrown out there that are used interchangeably, and I think we need to be clear what we're talking about. Are we talking about reforming? Are we talking about dismantling? Are we talking about defunding the police department? And for many individuals like myself, defunding does not mean abolish the police department. Like Tommy Watson, Dr. Watson, growing up in St. Paul, literally 5 doors down, my neighbor was Officer Brown. Officer Brown had kids. His older sons were my older brother's best friends. His daughters are young ladies that I had crushes growing up. He was an active member of the community. And so individuals like Officer Brown and others were a part of the community. They knew us growing up, and they had a different relationship with us than some other individuals who maybe we didn't see on a daily basis. We didn't consider community members. And so when I think about defunding the police department, again, I believe in law and order. Most people believe in law and order. That includes Black people, for folks who kind of have this misnomer. What we don't want is mistreatment by police. And what we don't want is individuals with chemical addiction or mental health issues to be gunned down when there could be other services that the police department, in a broader sense, public safety, could address while helping keep our communities safe. And so that's my thoughts about defunding the police. I believe in public safety. I believe that we need to have law and order. I also believe that it can be done in a just, fair, equitable, and respectful way.
Very good. Very good. Anybody else want to chime in? And again, all of you that are on, I can see you. I can see you, Adam Bailey, Javon Jackson, Oliver Solomon. I can see you, Courtney Jacobs, Clarence White, and Dr. Tommy Watson. And I know that there are others that will be joining in as well, but I can only put a certain amount on the screen at a time. So make sure you go ahead and start speaking, and I'll pull you over to the big screen if you have any comment regarding defunding the police and what your thoughts are pertaining to that at this time.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts.
And say your name so I'll know who to pull up, because I hear a voice.
Kim, this is Clarence.
Clarence, okay.
This is Clarence.
Okay, go ahead.
So some of my thoughts, and I know Dr. Watson has spoke briefly on the PAL Center as he grew up, as well as myself. In the mid 70s, early 80s. Some of the PAL programs are still live and vibrant. However, because of the word defunding or reforming, some of the financing and the funds that's used, they have been moved and a lot of the budgets, so that the money that was per se targeted for PAL, now they're used, those resources are used in another, whether it's a specific special operations unit to lower crime in a certain area, or
right.
However. So those programs are still out there, yet they're not as plentiful as it used to be, and that's not the focus anymore, unfortunately. But I think that we definitely need to get back to it. And I guess that, with that being said, community oriented policing should be our focus in the future. And I think that would be one of my answers to one of the other panel questions later on. But defunding police is really, you're not taking that many funds away. Most of the shift, and maybe it's the federal government may minimize some funds or how they'll rename them. But the police department is not going anywhere, because you need law and order based on the Constitution. However, but how much resources you get, that's where the bigger, or where those resources go, is the bigger question and bigger fight.
Okay, very good. Very informative. Anyone else want to chime in on that before we go to another question? Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
actually,
Adam. Okay. Oh, you're muted, Adam. You're muted. Okay. And say who you are too, so people know.
Hi. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. You just focus on that road though.
I'm Adam Bailey. I'm a retired police officer from St. Paul. I apologize for being late. I was on Central Time here, so I was thinking I had another hour.
Oh, sorry about that. It's my fault then. I didn't communicate it clearly. Please forgive me.
So I'm still on the road. But just really quickly, I apologize again because I missed some of the earlier comments. But I know defunding the police comes in a lot of different areas where people have different meanings behind it, and I don't know if it means taking away just the money from the police department or some of the resources. But I think that when you talk about defunding anything in the police department, one of the first things that they start cutting are those extra programs. I heard somebody mention the PAL program, and they also, one of the first things to go in our department when they cut budgets is training. So you're talking about officers and people getting the less training that they need in community policing, and the racial equities and all of those other things, and along with the tactics, defensive tactics and arrest tactics, and ways that we can bring those problems and situations to a conclusion.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Anybody else have any comment, or I'm going to go on to the next question?
Kim, can I add something?
Yes. And who is this that's speaking? You need to say your name.
This is Dr. Thomas Adams.
Okay.
I've been having some Facebook wars over the last
we all have.
over the last 3 weeks. And again, several of my good friends are police officers. One of my good friends is hopefully going to be joining today. I have another good friend who's the president, or just immediate past president, of the Minneapolis Black Police Officers Union. So again, support police officers. Support this notion of safety. I do have a challenge when I hear police officers talking about we need more training to help reduce the incidences of violence or misconduct or aggressive nature with African Americans. I grew up in St. Paul, but spent about 10 years in the greater Atlanta area. I read the paper. I live in a predominantly white area in terms of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I see police officers dealing with combative, drunk, rude, disrespectful, drug-induced white individuals every day.
Right.
But those individuals get to go home. They don't get shot. They don't get beaten up. They don't get disrespected as a whole. So I don't know that this is a training issue. When I see that happening, this is, in my opinion, a humanity issue, in that many African American men, in my opinion, are not viewed as humans. We're viewed as threats. We're viewed as criminals. We're viewed as anything other than another human that is sharing the same breath and space on this planet. So I have a doctorate degree. I believe in education. I believe in training. But I also know that some things are in your heart. And I don't think this is ultimately a training issue. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Wow. That's a great 2 cents. I'm going to put that comment up there, and I'm going to screenshot. I just want to screenshot you right now with that right there. It says this is a humanity issue, not a black or white issue. Dr. Thomas Adams said that. Okay. Wow. So anyone else? Okay. So that's right now a lot of Adam, let's go back.
Just really quickly, Doctor. I wasn't trying to relay that that was the only issue. I do think it is a much larger issue, and it's not just the police issue. Like you said, it is a humanity issue, and coming together is ultimately goal. I just mentioned the training part of it because it's one of the first things to go, and we need the officers to have some of that education that you were talking about and learning some of the histories and stuff that some of them weren't taught and about their communities. And that's kind of where I was getting at. I wasn't saying that that's a definitely not a fix-all for sure.
Excellent, Mr. Bailey.
Hey, Kim.
Who's that?
This is Courtney.
Courtney, okay.
Courtney.
Where's Courtney? Okay.
Detective is having trouble.
Good morning, everybody. Yes. Somebody needs muted.
Everybody, mute your mics. I can try.
Kim, thanks for providing this platform, Kim and Jay, Javon. Appreciate being invited to be a part of this. And all the gentlemen, the doctors that are on, and those other professionals that are on, really appreciate having this opportunity. To Dr. Adams' point, and also to retired Officer Bailey, I was looking at this article. I mentioned it before our show. Came across my feed. Deputy fired after video shows him repeatedly strike a man. And I didn't get a chance to see the video, but it looked like one white officer was on top of a black man who looked like he was in a position of no threat. And then I guess what happened was another officer was repeatedly punching him. So if this is a humanity issue, I guess the question, I know we have a lot of questions that Kim, that you're going to ask, but the question that I have is how do we siphon through these are heroes, right? Officers, we look at them as heroes. So how do we look at our heroes and look at the system in which these men and women are being brought into this position that they're in, a position of authority? How do we screen in a way where these individuals who are inhumane, how do we screen those people out? Because this position, I saw another article, I think it was like Chris Rock, and it was kind of like a joke, but he was just saying like some professions have to be pretty solid. Like he was basically saying you can't have a pilot that is not pretty solid. Like a police officer is one of those positions that we got to figure out a way to screen these men and women to make sure that there's some solid individuals, because they are heroes. And if we can't have people in that type of authority and power to be abusive. So I know that's a very challenging question, but maybe there's a way.
Anyone that wants to answer the question that Courtney just posed to the panel, let me know by saying your name and I'll pull you into the larger screen.
Okay.
This is
I'll go ahead and take a shot at that, but not necessarily as to answer the question, but more so to expand on the question that Courtney have, because that first of all, that's a great question, Courtney. And the main thing is, and I guess I can kind of transition us into our next question. As far as police community, policing in the community, as far as what's currently going on right now, and how they have just outsiders coming in, nobody's familiar with the community. They're scared of us pretty much at the end of the day. So that allows them to have some type of inhumane treatment towards us, like Courtney was saying. So how can we effectively forget all the reform and the defund it? I pose that question, but I'm really not an advocate of that myself, because at the end of the day, it was a time that the police and the community were getting along together. So how can we get back to that time frame in that period to where we can effectively be one, and not just like as divisive as we are right now. We have kids watching, we have our families watching, everybody is in terror or intimidated by the police, and that's not the way. It's just really not the way. So how do we address that in conjunction with what Courtney was saying? So it's not necessarily I have the resolution or the answer to that, but I just wanted to extend myself to the question on that.
Javon, I think that's a good question. This is Tommy Watson here. Javon and Adam and I, we all played football for the University of Minnesota, so I appreciate the connection here as well. I think Dr. Adams brought up a great point, and I think it's at the core of what we're talking about here. How do we begin to see the humanity in each other? And I think one of the things, we even had a chance to play football together at the University of Minnesota, but one of the things that we did not do as athletes was we didn't get a chance to learn each other's stories. We didn't get a chance to really know where each of us came from. We had connections with each other, off the field, and some of us shared our stories, what have you, though. But when it came to a lot of our black and white teammates, we only had the central core of football being the only thing that brought us together. We didn't spend time learning and figuring out each other's story as we went along. I think that's one of the issues that we have when it comes to community and the police department sometimes, is there's a disconnect in terms of not being able to see the humanity in each other because we don't see each other, we don't know each other's stories. But when we know a person's story, it's very, very hard not to love or appreciate a person when you can find the core of who they are and their experiences in life, though.
That's really good comment. Great. All of these Absolutely. Are great comments. Okay, so the next question that's asked is, how do you, especially this is specifically for some of the police officers or retired officers, how do you as an official of the law separate your job from your community family life?
I guess I could start off on that. And
who
my take, no, I'm sorry, this is Clarence.
I'm like, don't throw me off now. I'm trying to be professional.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Put your camera down a little bit.
I guess, excuse me.
Perfect, yes.
Okay, how's that? Is that better? Okay, I think truly you can't. It's impossible, because if you're there for the right reason, meaning that you're here to not the cliche serve and protect, but also to guide and educate your community, that's you're one and the same. That community is your family. However, personally, my family, I have to also protect my family and educate them, not only as an officer, but as a husband, father, and brother. So separating myself from my job, no, my job is to serve and protect my family as well as the community. So in that manner, I want the best for my family. I also want the best for my community. I just so happen to be a police officer, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm educating, I'm counseling. A lot of times when you have majority of the police officer, we're not just police officers. We're the counselor, we're the teacher, we're social workers. That's the same thing you're in the community. If you're actively involved in your community, if you're communicating, you're actually in the moment in your house, you're doing all the same things. So in my eyes, you can't separate the two.
Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else that would like to take, and even if you all that are not officers just have, okay, here, Darren Williams. Okay, there you go. Oh, Darren, let me unmute you. Okay.
Yes. Let me take this off. I'm sort of like on the same page with the brother, because, some of us live in the community that we serve, and we're trying to make a difference there. And these are many people that we grew up around. So we're able to respond to them as friends just as well as family, and being a servant to them, coming to their needs, actually being able to know their families is a lot better. Many times we'll have someone that's wanted for a major crime or what have you, and instead of, and they may be like, say, considered armed and dangerous, but to us, it's a safe surrender. They'll turn themselves in, so it works hand in hand when you get to know the people that you serve in your community, because if you consider them family or friends, it's a lot better than the rogue police that comes in there, not from the community, never lived in the community, knew someone, got in there, for instance, from a connection from a family member, and may not have the best intentions. Some of them went to school out of the community, never were in the community with someone that looked like you. They'll deal with you differently. They'll respond to you and bear with me because I'm on a construction job and I had to move away because it's very noisy down there. But I'm here, you know, just trying to make a difference in everybody's life, that they could come to me when they're in need. Many times we assist them food, clothing, just as well as shelter, if need to be. Or if there's a major crime, they'll, like I say, they'll surrender themselves. They'll turn themselves into you. And because the simple fact that they trust you. Okay, I have so much going on around me.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you for your comment.
Hey.
Yes.
Kim, this is Dr. Adams.
I wanted to expand on that. I wanted to expand on what Officer Detective Williamson was saying. Definitely, like that's a key point. He's a key living example of how. And if somebody can mute their mic, we need to make a mic mute.
Oh, I'll mute the mic. You go ahead.
If he's a key example of exactly what we're trying to say. If the officer is familiar to the community, then in response, the opposite will be a lot more familiar arrest. I think that the crime rate will go down as a result of that. But how do we get that conveyed to the police departments to make that an effective practice all across America? And that's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, Kim, this is Clarence. May I respond to Jay's question? On that aspect of it, in the community, in the police, law enforcement community, it's called community-oriented policing. It's the same policing we used to use back in the day, 30, 40, 50 years ago, when you knew the officer, just like Detective Williams was speaking about. That right there has to be a universal agreement, I guess, amongst all the police departments. However, my understanding that every department don't have to go by that standard. Some police departments are not like that. They oversaturate the crime targeted red line area. So to do that, we're hoping that law enforcement will reform and go under the restorative practice, more so social emotional learning, that we could deal with mental health a little bit better than what we're currently doing with now. That's a major issue. But the restorative practice also gives the discretion, give more discretion to the officer to make decisions that not necessarily have to lead to reusing the arrest as a last option, an alternative, and try to find other alternative ways to redirect a lot of the crimes in the area, and that will help the community as well.
Excellent. Dr. Adams, you had a comment earlier. Do you want to go ahead and still make that comment right quick?
I do, Kim. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You know, I was in Jamaica a couple years ago, and I was having some conversation with some of the locals about their police community relations. And I began to talk with them about, you know, is police brutality, is unfair practices, you know, over aggressiveness with, you know, is that a real challenge there? And they were saying, you know, not really. And one of the things they said, why, which is what I want to pose to our officer and our detective, they said, do you know the tension it will be? All these officers live in the community. So what do you think it's going to be like if they take somebody's grandma out the house and slam them on the ground and do this and that, and then they got to go to the store on the weekend, to the grocery store with the same folks that they done something to? And so when I think about residency requirements, and I don't believe that is across the country, but when I think about residency requirements in terms of as one of many solutions that may help police community relations, I'm interested into what the officer White or Detective Williamson believes about residency requirements, requiring those officers to live in the city that is employing them, and then putting other incentives in place like they used to do for teachers, you know, low interest mortgages and things like that to entice individuals to come into the community and live in the community that they work.
And also, Courtney said too, has this ever been proposed to mirror the police to the community? That was one of Courtney Jacobs' questions as well. And then let me say this too from one of my studio audience members. She said, June Griffith says, you don't have to look familiar or live in a community to show humanity. This is a both sides effect. One, educating the officers. Two, the community has a responsibility to educate our young men not to follow a life of crime. So this is a comment from one of my studio audience members. So who wanted to tackle the question? You're still on the screen, Dr. Adams, since nobody spoke up. I don't know who to pull into the.
This is Clarence. This is Clarence.
That's funny. Like, somebody speak up. Okay, go ahead.
Here in the Metro Atlanta area, I know they have programs that incentive to and try to entice officers to stay in their local community with mortgage percentage off deductions or down payment assistance and things of that nature. But another thing that's really realistic is that a lot of officers do not feel comfortable living and working in the same community. That's, and in these day and time, that's realistic. So then other officers may want to go outside the community because the pay is higher.
Yeah.
So those are realistic things. So that in itself makes it difficult to have that mirroring of 40% Black or to mirror your community or use the community-oriented policing module because of that nature. Because then I need to take care of my family. Let's be honest, public service do not pay a lot.
Yep.
You're not going to get rich in this. So some of your good officers are going to look for the best financial situation that they could take care of their families. Unfortunately, then there's some officers, the background, as you can see, that's all over, unfortunately, the internet and everything, that we have some officers that's not making good decisions, or they may have some challenges in their upbringing, the way they bring in their personalities and how they deal with conflict from different cultures. Cultural diversity is real. If you don't understand the person you're dealing with, it could be, every word could have 2 or 3 different meanings. If you take it out of context, now instead of having a conversation, it's a confrontation, and that leads a lot of things that we're seeing in the media as we speak.
Okay, excellent. Anyone else? I'm looking at your signals to see if you give me a thumbs up or something, Adam or Darren, if you're answering anything from an officer perspective, let me know.
Kim, I just want to add that
Adam's okay.
I'm sorry, this time is up. I know this is not easy. If it was easy, it could be done, right? I mean, everybody would do it across the country, but I spent 3 years as a juvenile correctional officer working in a juvenile detention center. And I worked with the 16 to 18-year-olds, those that were being housed and then transported to prisons because they were adjudicated as adults. And there was a clear distinction between how individuals like myself who lived in the community treated those residents / inmates than individuals that were driving in from Hudson, Wisconsin, which is about 40 miles away. There was a clear distinction. And we used to have long conversations with, they used to call me social worker. Stop social working these guys. And I said, you can call it what you want, but I see these dudes on the weekend, and I see their families on the weekend, and you don't. And one thing they're going to be able to say about me is that I treated them with respect. Yeah, we got to go in and ball them up sometimes when there's some challenges going on. But one thing they'll be able to say about me is I treated them with respect. And that was a huge difference than many of my colleagues at that time. And so I do know that the challenges with requiring residency. I do know there's pay equity scales with some suburbans paying more. I do know officers want and feel the need to be safe. I'm not saying this is an easy issue, but I am saying that I strongly believe this is one component to a bunch of components that are necessary to improve police community relations.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so listen, everyone. I'm gonna. Oh, did you say something? Let me make sure. Darren Williamson, is that you saying something?
Not at this time. What was the question? I could jump right in. I had so much going on in back of me and in front of me
They were
also.
just trying to say, do you think it's important for people to live in the community in which they serve or mirror the community?
Yes, it's very essential and important because, like I say, I have a rapport and a relationship with everyone in the community, and they get to know me. They know who I am, and sometimes if there's a situation that happened, and it just so happened to be an intense situation, major, and have my back up against the wall, I no longer have to use my radio,
right,
which I have access to call the police department 911, because you may get some rogue police that might want to come in there with bad intentions just to bail you out and let them know who's in charge. But instead, I have Raheem, I have John, I have Shaniqua, I have Shay, I have Kim. I have them all, and if there's a situation, they'll take care of it, or either they got my back to where they're like, hey, you out here looking out for us. Guess what? We're gonna look out for you. Who's giving you a problem? Let's take care of that. And I tell them, don't get physical with it. Just let them know what the deal is. And so this thing really doesn't have to get to the police level to where the police come there and they got to take care of business and shut things down. And it may not turn out right. It may cause you to go to jail, and someone that have a college degree and give them a record. Or it may cause you to go otherwise and get a few bumps and bruises. And, these things happen. But therefore, if you have trust in the community by the people that you serve and they respect you, guess what? They'll protect you just as well. And I believe in that because this has been my journey on the job for the past 27 years. I'm in my 28th year right now. I'm having fun because guess what? I love what I do and I love the people that I serve. And there's a few people out there that's on the borderline, and it's hard for everyone because people that's working today, guess what? As you know, that unemployment line and it is very long. It goes into a couple of million right now. So there's everybody or anybody that can turn the other way once they have their back up against the wall. Guess what? They have to feed their family.
Well, excellent.
They have to eat just as well.
Courtney, you're typing a lot of things. I'd rather you say them. So I'm going to put you on the screen and give you a chance to speak up and say some of those really profound statements that you're typing backstage. Here, go ahead, Courtney, you're up.
Sure. No, I appreciate the platform. The other gentlemen, these officers, I love to hear them speak. But my question was simply,
it's me. I'll mute him. Go ahead. He's outside at the construction.
Okay, that's fine. I think it's fantastic that we're coming up with these great questions and these great answers. But ultimately, and I don't know the answer to this, but who are the people locally and nationally that we can petition to get this stuff in front of those folks so that ultimately this can become a document. This can become on a sheet of paper and something that can be signed and that can be put forward so that we can go beyond just conversations. I appreciate the conversations. This is fantastic. But at some point, and maybe this is already happening, I'm sure it is, but maybe somebody on the call knows the chain of command and how this goes. I think these are some really good ideas, and I'm pretty sure it's recorded and been captured that we can begin to push this stuff so that it can become law and some real changes being made.
Excellent question. And anyone that wants to tackle that, let me know, and I'll put you on the screen if you know the answer to that.
Okay, Kim, let me step up real quick and speak on. First of all, I want to apologize to we having a lot of panelists. We have a overwhelming number of panelists today, and we're having a lot of issues backstage. So I just want to first give all apologies to the panelists that haven't been able to get on due to technical difficulties. And you know, we're going to come and revisit this platform as well. Again, we'll have it a lot more organized. And I know also that you got to get into your flash round of questions and stuff as well. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure that you get that in as well, Kim.
Well, what we
It's
can
all
do.
excellent questions on the panel, and I'm enjoying.
Well, thank you so much, Javon, and for all of the it's plenty of panelists. That's I can see the comments saying more panelists are backstage. So what I'm definitely interested in doing is having another session, even with just the panelists that aren't on today. If we can just bring them so their voices are heard to these same questions, that would be great. If we can do that sooner than our next time that we're supposed to come on. I didn't realize that it was a limit to the number of people. Okay. No. Okay. So Clarence White said he can release his spot to free it up so someone else can come in as well, if you like.
Yeah. You know, can I just mention one thing? This is Tommy Watson here. I think Dr. Adams brought up a great point about having officers live in the community. When I was a school principal, I lived in a community in which I was serving as principal, and it went really well. But also had a number of educators who lived outside of the community. But what they did, they invested in the community by coming in the community, by supporting the kids and connecting with the families beyond school-related stuff. So I had teachers who would come in the community, go to churches, they would go to birthday parties, they would go to anniversary parties, they would go to all these different things where they were investing and building in the lives of the community, and they were able to build trust as well. Mm-hmm. So I think ideally it'd be great that we have officers who live in the community, but if you can't live in the community, invest in the community in ways that are not necessarily around problematic situations. So invest in the birthday parties, invest in the community activities that may be taking place, invest in anything socially where you're building relationships and rapport with the community where it's not necessarily in problematic situations, because now you're only there again, even though you may not necessarily be there as pertaining to a situation that you're policing, but you're only there connecting to the negative situation. So
very good points.
Churches and stuff like that they can go to as well to connect with the community.
I love it. I love everything that's being shared, and it's a lot of solutions, like you said, Courtney. If we can get these solutions into the proper chain of command, and I see Mr. Bailey making a comment here. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to piggyback on Tommy's comments. You know, and I think I do agree that it would be great if officers could live in the residence or the communities that they're serving. I don't know that that's feasible throughout the country. I know a lot of the larger agencies, larger cities are able to do that, but certainly not every agency. But I think what Tommy has said is a really good point. It's investing in the community, and it's bringing people together and having conversations to learn both sides of the story and telling the stories of both the officers, so the community sees officers again as people as well, and not just as this authority figure who's coming in to do harm or to take somebody to jail or whatever the situation is, but to see and for the officers to hear the stories of the community and get to know those people. And I think you can do that in other ways other than just residing there. But that's the most important thing, is having that connection between the officers and the community and sharing both sides of the stories.
Excellent. And so also, Javon, that's an excellent point, Adam Bailey. Shannon, if you could type my last things that you normally type up for me, and then I'll release your seat so that one of the other panelists can come in and say some things on the show as well. That'll free up another seat as well, Javon. Okay. And so as she's typing these quick things.
Definitely. And Kim. And as she's typing those things, I just wanted to say those are all excellent points. Adam, you know, he's making a great point. Dr. Watson, he's making a great point. Courtney, like you said, who are the people that we need to get in place? And that's what I think today's panel is about. I think today's call is about that. And it's kind of taking its own shape. So what we can walk away from this today is trying to target whatever police organization that we need to target, that we can offer this as a solution. Please put more police in the community that we're familiar with, that's familiar with us, just like Detective Williamson said, that he get a lot of resolution and have a great success rate because he's familiar with the community. So how can we implement that across the board. And like Courtney said, we just need to start kind of spearheading and tackling that issue with these departments. Let's bring it to them.
Excellent. Excellent. I appreciate everything that's being shared by all of the panelists. I also want to ask it's a couple of questions that's coming from my studio audience that I want to get answered as well. Make sure you all subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. It's on YouTube. It's across 8 different platforms. So if you go to YouTube and subscribe and turn on your notifications, every time the show goes live, you won't miss an episode because you'll be already having your notification bell set to all. And also today's sponsor is, let me turn to that for a second, because I have a group that sponsors, different people provide sponsorship of the Kim Jacobs Show episodes. And today's episode sponsor is startmytruckingcompany.com. So startmytruckingcompany.com. Their phone number is 214-699-5009. And their email is info@startmytruckingcompany.com. It's basically a trucking company in a box, and a trucking company that you'll be able to learn how from A to Z to start your own trucking company through a business plan, learning more about the trucking industry. If you're interested in international trucking, consulting and loads, they'll be able to teach you from A to Z how to start your own trucking company. Now, what I recommend is that you would send your email to me, Kim@thebalancedoctor.tv. And by doing that, I have you up. Okay. By doing that, you'll be able to get connected right to the actual owner of Start My Trucking Company. Thank you so much, Shannon, for giving me all of the information in the back. If you'd like to become a Patreon member of the Kim Jacobs Show, this is how you can do that as well. And I'll put that information right in the chat. It's patreon.com/the Kim Jacobs Show. And there's exclusive after party content that takes place that's exclusive to those members only. Okay. And the final announcement that I'll make is that we do have a Monday through Friday Quest Church prayer line, and Pastor Jacobs is praying for individuals, especially with COVID-19. It has not come to a halt at all. The numbers are still rising and people are in need of prayer. A lot of things that's taking place in our communities with the wildfires, protesting, and you name it, it's pretty much happening. You can tune into the prayer line at 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083#. And that's Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30. So one of our studio audience members said, Shannon, you can drop off. Thank you so much. Okay, DJ Finesse is here. Adam Bailey, you're back. Okay. Yes. Before I go to my studio audience member said, many city jails don't have a large women holding facility, so officers just write tickets for them or allow them to walk home, all because women's spaces are being lesser than men. I'm not sure. Somebody else would have to address this. Anybody that's an officer may know about that. And then also another comment that came in is, I think, guys, the issue is that I see when women get tickets while guys are put in jail for city council revenue, same offense. So basically what I think this person is saying, and thank you for being in the studio audience today, is that for similar offenses, people are getting put in jail. I think I saw that.
Let me take that one from a civilian standpoint, Kim.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me take that one from a civilian standpoint. Okay. Well, I mean, it's just as simple as this. I mean, it's, you know, we in a community where we're prone to help women as men, and all these male officers, naturally, they're going to have a soft spot for the women. So, you know, they're going to listen to their story more. They're going to be more sympathetic to letting them go home versus where I'm an immediate threat. You know, like I might say the wrong thing, you know, with all right intentions, but I might say the wrong thing that's going to land me in jail. And also that, you know, just let's face it, one thing we haven't said on this panel and one thing we haven't addressed is just the mental issues that the world put on Black men. And, you know, like a lot of media outlets, they just depict us as animals. They depict us as the thug. They depict us as, you know, just you know, unruly guys. So, you know, the world kind of follows suit with that. So it's the same mentality. It's like once the officer get into training and become that officer or detective or whatever the case may be, then they also going to take into place the psychological effects of the media and the different things that's in place. So naturally, we love women. It's a male dominated society as far as the troubles and the thugs, because we are the people that's creating the most of the troubles, the men. But however, it's just not black men, but we are the focus on that. So it highlights us as to whereas a lot of the officers may make indiscretions in trying to arrest us and dealing with us. So I just wanted to put that out on the panel as well.
Okay.
Kim, this is Clarence.
Okay.
I want to just touch bases a little bit on that and piggyback to some degree with Javon. From my knowledge, education, and experience in college, they build jails and prisons based on the third grade testing. And with that information, they follow these kids throughout their lives and the part of the test and take some of the data from that. And you pretty much project who's going to be successful in quote unquote, who's not going to be. And from that projection, we can pretty much and see how many jails or how many prisons that could be built in the population. Now, throughout that data as well, you could pretty much find out how many males and how many females that's gonna reach the status of jail at that particular time. So, and yes, like Jay said, all those things are considered, and that's the reality of it. Some things, is it fair? Not always. Not always. However, truth is truth.
Excellent.
So to answer the person's question, that this studio audience, yeah, you can write tickets a lot of time. Tickets are still revenue, and I know one panel question was something about a quota. I just want to try to combine that in. Quotas, the tickets is in revenue, and revenue in order to run a business, you have to have revenue in the budget, and so that all of that is averaged out to bring money. How much money you're going to bring in for the city? So that's part of the city's
right. But when
budget.
someone gets pulled over, when people get pulled over, and it's just trying to meet just a quota type of thing, because you gotta make it's lots. If you look for something, there's always something to be found. Let me put myself up for a second because I have a comment, and I'm over here on the side. Okay, so if you look for something, there's always something that you can kind of scratch up and find about everyone in life. And that's not regarding race. It's just like any car that you pull over, there's going to be something on that car that you can find that could have been better, But when it turns into a situation where the person doesn't possibly go home at the end of that incident, is not good,
It's not good. And it's unfortunate. Some people are sticklers to do things, and I guess that's when the quota, and some things that could end up what we say going south, because you just have those type of police officers. I'm not saying that right, wrong, indifferent, but a lot of times it doesn't have to go that far. And the instance, the guy in Clayton County, I haven't seen the video and got all the information behind it, but I don't think I reserve the right for my opinion on it, but it looked like it's going to be questioned, investigated at this point.
So what about like officers holding DJ Finesse? I see you back there, but you have to connect your mic or your video. What about, and Darren Williamson, if you want to say something, give me a thumbs up, only because I have you muted because of the construction in the background. So you'll have to give me a signal that you want to say something. Do police officers, other police officers that you all notice, anybody that want to tackle that? How does that process work? Because you don't want to not support your friends or your fraternity, your brotherhood or sisterhood.
Well, Kim, this is Clarence, since I'm still on the front page. I think so. A lot of times it's done many different ways. Then of course, a lot of people go from the old saying, the thin blue line cliche that you don't tread on your law enforcement brother. However, right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you get, sometimes some officers get blackballed for holding each other accountable. But again, truth is truth, and you have to live with yourself. So if you hold somebody accountable, and a lot of times, even with the George Floyd situation, that should have never happened. Not with all those officers. The best way for me to look out for my partner, if I see him in a situation, is to get him out of that situation. And those guys it didn't appear like they tried to get the guy out of that situation. And that possibly could have saved George Floyd's life.
Wow. Very good comments. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do, because we're coming to the close and this hour goes so quickly with this very necessary topic, I'm going to give each of the panelists an opportunity to make a closing kind of comment, something that you really want people to know or hear as we get ready to close out today's episode. And then by all means, we can go backstage for anybody that wants to stay backstage for a few minutes and share some additional comments for my Patreon members. You'll be able to do that as well. But I'm going to go around and give each person, I'll pull you all in individually. Clarence, since you're already on the screen, what's something that somebody's saying, hey, Team Clarence White, police need to police each other. You have a Team Clarence White advocate. Okay, what's your comment that you like to kind of close out with?
Let's focus on human race. That's the only race I know. Let's be kind and polite. The Bible says, when you do anything, do it out of love. That's even when in disagreement. So if you keep that focus, a lot of things could be resolved.
Very good. Very good. Okay, let's go to you, Dr. Adams. If you could say a comment or two.
Sure. I just say, like many things in our country, this is a complex issue. There are multiple strategies and solutions. And I don't like to operate in an either or, but a both and. And so I'm in agreement with training. I'm agreement with residence requirements where they fit, or residency incentives where they fit. I'm agreeing with higher accountability. I'm in agreement with higher accountability amongst the police department for each other. And I'm in agreement with higher accountability for rogue officers by our court of law to ultimately improve police community relations as it relates to urban areas, and in particular as it relates to African American.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, Darren Williamson, and I'm going to have to unmute your mic myself. Okay, go ahead. It's a lot of noise. That's the only reason I muted you, Darren Williamson. Go ahead.
Yes, I feel your attitude determines your latitude, or how far you go with the young men. And then again, for the women, if a police is dealing with them and there's no other female or woman police officer available, they'll let them go, and give them a slap on the wrist or a summons, because you can't put your hands on a woman in certain, instances and checking them. So there may not be anyone available. But I feel that education is your key and your passport to the future. For those out there that's looking, we had many that came, that was a fuse in the link for the civil rights struggle to make it right for us, and allowing us to be on these jobs, to go in these particular housing communities or what have you. So doing the right thing is a small price to pay towards coming to success, and continue staying on the course. And I thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Brother Kashan, for keeping me on this broadcast, and I'm available anytime. I hope I said something that made sense.
That made sense, and we would really welcome you to come back, and hope that you'll be able to participate in the future panels as well.
Okay, Brother Kashan have all my information, and I'm available anytime. And I'm just so busy right now.
Thank you for being on today. Okay, let's go to Dr. Tommy Watson.
Again, thank you, Kim and Javon, for putting this together, and all the panelists for being as well. Great information shared. I think one of the things that can be helpful for us as we go forward is we have to start re-looking at the way we look at community and policing engagement, because we look at it in terms of the policing relationships. But I think what we have to do, we have to go beyond getting our police officers involved in our communities beyond policing relationships. We have to really get them into our situations where they're coming out of their uniforms, coming in the communities with their families, spending time with the community, coming to the churches, going to the football games, the basketball games, the POW games, the celebrations, and really building up a relationship and rapport with each other. The community building up with the police departments as human beings, and them building up relationship with us as human beings as well. But really going beyond what we say when we start talking about policing and community engagement has to go beyond the uniform and more so to just the general things that we do as human beings.
I love it. Thank you. Let me also put a comment up from my mom, Ellis Bradley. She said, good morning, everyone. I love the redemption of the Black man panel. Great discussion, lots of wisdom and knowledge. And this is me and Javon's mom. And so I know she'd be like, I know y'all did not put my comment up. So I had to, that's not even proper English for grammar. It's like, I know you did not put my comment up. All right. So there you are, mommy. Let me put Adam Bailey up so that you can say your comment. And thank you for being on today as well.
Thank you, Kim and Javon, for having me on. And Javon and Tommy, it was nice to see you again and meet the rest of the other panelists. I just think it's important to keep having these conversations and telling the stories of each other's backgrounds and getting to know where each other are coming from. And then just respect. I mean, it goes a long way. I mean, when I was an officer, I started off treating everybody with respect and dignity and trying to have a conversation. And I think that's just the most important thing is if you can treat others with respect and expect some of that respect back, I think that goes a long way as well, along with the educational piece.
Outstanding. Thank you for being on. Thank you, Dr. Tommy Watson, for being on. This has been, y'all are just providing profound wisdom. Courtney, I'm going to have you speak next. Let me just also acknowledge my aunt, Geraldine Perkins, out of Newport News, Virginia. And Geraldine, I'm glad to have you on today. Thank you for being in the studio audience. And I don't take you being in the studio audience for granted. I appreciate you. And also June Griffith said, Dr. Thomas Adams, accountability. So she's team everyone on here. This is a good thing. Go ahead, Courtney, with your closing comment.
Yes, thanks again, Kim, for the platform, and Jay, thanks for the invite. Adam Bailey, appreciate the word that you use, respect. Dr. Watson used the word relationship. I think all these optimistic words and things are very positive. I will say, Officer White, he mentioned about the George Floyd, and my comment was going to be, seeing that situation, and we talk about the cops and how they're leaders, and some people are looking at them as an organized gang. When you look at that whole George Floyd situation where you have somebody holding a man down, killing a man, and you have a few other people just kind of like standing around, that kind of is not the right image that we're looking for from the officers. So, we do want to be optimistic. This is kind of the notion that some people are looking at the police officers almost like organized crime, but in order for us to move forward, we talked about contacting our local officials, the government, the different politicians that interact locally. These are the people that we want to make sure that we communicate these ideas that we just came up with. And I'm just happy to be able to be a part of it. Thank you.
Courtney, thank you so much. You provided so much insight and I appreciate it. And I'm going to have, let me say my comment, and then I'm going to let my brother close out today. For everyone that's going to be tuning in tomorrow we have a serial entrepreneur. Her name is Dr. Jessica Mosley, and she's going to be talking to women that are entrepreneurs on how we can have better self-care as we go on this journey of entrepreneurship. So tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me let my brother close out today's show, and then that's it. That's going to be our final comment. And I'll encourage you to tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So this is my final time that you hear my voice. We're closing out today's episode with my brother, Javon Jackson.
Okay, well, first of all, love you, Mom. added that you're the #1 participant. And then second of all, Kim, thank you for having us today again. Thank you for all the panelists that were able to get through. We're going to revisit this again, so don't worry if you weren't able to get through for those that weren't able to, because this is a heavy topic and it's a lot more questions on the table and resolution that we need to bring to the table. But I'm so grateful today that like what we came up with, the key words: education, humanity. These are the type of resolutions that we're going to need in the community to move forward. And I'm so grateful that we're generating this conversation and actually walking away with some direction to go towards making things better. I know it's chaotic right now in the world. I know this one conversation isn't going to resolve everything, but it's a great start. Along with saying that, and some more direction for the next place that I would like to go with this is also we focus heavy today on what it takes for the police to make change. But one thing we didn't talk about today was what it takes for us as a community to make those necessary changes as well. So I'm not going to beat on like the black on black crime. I'm not going to beat on some of the incidents and obvious flaws we have in our community, but we have to address those as well if we're going to be better and offer a better us to the community as well to make it better with the police community. So I just wanted to end on that note. And once again, I'm grateful that all you guys that came out. I'm thankful that all the insight and expertise that y'all delivered to the panel. And Kim, once again, thank you for even being open enough to have us on the panel and let us talk with this platform.
Thank you. I said you wouldn't hear my voice, but I just have to say thank you to my brother, my baby brother. Okay. Have a great day, everybody.